Jonathan freaking Taylor. 2 touchdown runs, over 175 rushing yards as well. Leads the Colts. Carson Wentz as well, had a great game as well. Everybody, offense, defense, everybody was rolling on all cylinders, except for maybe the last part of that game. The defense kind of gave up some touchdowns, and the Jets had a little bit of a comeback coming, but that's okay. The Colts looked dominant, starting 0-3 in the beginning of the season, and then transitioning over to a 4-2 record after they started 0-3 and very well in the race for the AFC wildcard spot. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Time2Football. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of the show that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are joining us on this Friday morning. It's Friday. In the words of Rebecca Black, it's Friday. It's Friday. Partying, yeah. Partying. Looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to go ahead and join in with you guys on the chat right here. See what you guys are commenting down below. Y'all saying good morning. Okay, awesome. Good morning, Hassan. Good morning, Brandon. Good morning, Zolbu. You've got a question as well as regarding fantasy football. I'm going to get to that at the end of the show. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We also got Big Dog Pound as well saying good morning. Ty Johnson, baby, CHB. Huge fan of Ty Johnson, I see. Who was presumably seemed like the lead back after his performance. Michael Carter had a somewhat of a decent performance. It's against the Colts defense, so you don't really expect much. But let me turn down these lights because it is blasting up in my face right now. There we go. Make it a little bit more subtle. Yeah, so the Colts look good, though. Colts look good. I think they're definitely in the running to make an AFC wildcard spot. At least they should be in consideration because, they showed the playoff race recently last night during the broadcast, and you've got like the Bengals who are in the wild card spot as well. Keep in mind that they're 7 teams, so I think the Colts, huge shot, good chance of making the AFC wild card race. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about PredictionStrike, the stock market of the NFL. We always talk about this every Friday. We also talk about fantasy football overs and unders via PrizePicks, where you can win some money just based off of taking the overs and unders. So I'm going to name some players that you want to take the overs on, some players you want to take the unders on, view the projections on PrizePicks. Very fun game. Actually, last night I was playing PrizePicks, and I was so close to winning $100. And then Michael Carter got half a yard more because I picked the under on his rushing yards. He got half a yard more than what I projected him to get. I projected him to get under 45 rushing yards or however much he finished with. And he got half a yard over that. And so I didn't win $100. Instead, I only won 6 cents. But that's okay. I still won money. I didn't lose any money at all. So, dang it, man. I was half a yard away from winning $100. It's okay. It happens sometimes. So we're going to be talking about that as well as some fantasy football questions that you guys have going into this week 9 of the 2021 NFL season. It's Fantasy Friday. We're talking about fantasy football here. It's Fantasy Friday. Let's first start off with some NFL news and notes that's been going around. Breaking news that just happened. It was kind of announced last night that this was going to happen, but it officially happened, I would say probably 30 minutes ago. And that is Odell Beckham Jr. has been released by the Cleveland Browns. So Odell Beckham Sr., his father, posted a video of Odell, the times that he was open and Baker Mayfield did not throw him the ball. And I think that might have, I don't know whether it irked the Browns the wrong way or that had the Browns' attention to where they would just speak with Odell and his agent, just be like, listen, what's going on here? What's the problem? And eventually they just decided, okay, I think what's best for now is Odell sits out of practice. He doesn't attend practice. Happened on Wednesday, happened on Thursday, and then officially Friday morning, they released him. So this is kind of disappointing for the Cleveland Browns. Not that Odell Beckham was going to be like their savior or anything like that, but more so because they had some trade offers. Most notably, the Saints offered some compensation for Odell in a trade. And now they're in the process of, he's in the process of clearing waivers. So they worked out financially. How can Odell work through these waivers so that teams could sign him. So they try to help him out in the end as well. Let me go ahead and read off the order of the waivers for you guys so you guys know who has the priority. Okay, so the top 10 teams that have the waiver priorities right now: Lions, Dolphins, Texans, Jaguars, Jets, Giants, Washington, Eagles, Seahawks, and Bears. Top 10 teams. So the top 3 that have the top priority is the Lions. If they don't want them, then it's the Dolphins. If they don't want them, it's the Texans. If they don't want, it just goes in that order right there if they put in a claim for him. So we'll have to see who he signs with, and he'll probably sign with the team if he's not going to clear waivers within the next couple of days. Not expected to play in Week 9, obviously, with whatever team he's going to be signing with, but he should be good to go in Week 10 if he were to get signed. And if he clears waivers and nobody wants him, that would be shocking. I'd be very, very shocked. But that's the gist of that. Odell Beckham has been released. All right, so getting into some practice news regarding who's going to be playing this weekend and who's not. You've got a plethora of injuries with the Dallas Cowboys, and this is bad news for a lot of Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so first, Tyron Smith, their very, very good tackle, is expected to miss this game in Week 9. That's a huge blow. That's a huge blow in the trenches. Then on top of that, you've also got Blake Jarwin, who's expected to miss this game, has a hip injury. Okay, well, that's not too big of a loss. You've got Dalton Schultz there. That's fine. Michael Gallup is not expected to return to this game. They activated him off of IR. They wanted to see if he could play, open up that 21-day window where they could officially activate him off of IR for good or keep him on IR for the rest of the season. It's looking like he's not going to be playing this week. He's going to be making his return in Week 10. Amari Cooper has a hamstring injury. He's been limited in practice. More than likely, he's saying that he's good to go, but monitor his status for Friday. CeeDee Lamb suffered an ankle sprain in practice. He did not practice, or he was limited in practice on Wednesday, and then he did not practice on Thursday. So this is all developing news, and all the injuries that's happening with the Dallas Cowboys, this is very, very bad news. You could potentially have Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Blake Jarwin, Tyron Smith, 5 guys miss this game. And the number one target would be either Dalton Schultz or Cedric Wilson. Bad news for the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll just see what happens. Saquon Barkley, he is back at the facility after a false positive. Okay, so he was put on the reserve COVID-19 list, and then they found out that was not. That was a false positive. Hey, Saquon, don't you know that anything could be COVID nowadays? Oh, you suffered an ankle sprain with Kadarius Toney stepping on your foot? Oh, that's COVID. You have COVID. Oh, you sneezed? Oh, that's COVID. No, it's not allergies. It's COVID. Oh, dude, you have a weird rash on your elbow? That's COVID, bro. You got to get that checked out. You got to get tested. Everything's COVID nowadays. The COVID numbers are crazy because everything's COVID. Saquon has a false positive test, so he does not have COVID. But he has to deal with that ankle sprain, so we don't know if he's going to be playing against the Raiders just yet. Taysom Hill practiced fully, so if there's any doubt about Taysom Hill being the starter in New Orleans, well, there's still a little bit of doubt. You don't know if it's going to be him or Trevor Siemian. But his availability, he'll be worked into that game regardless, whether he's going to be starting or not. Elijah Mitchell, he was limited in practice, did not practice on Wednesday because of a ribs injury. He was limited on Thursday, so it does bode well for Elijah Mitchell's availability. James Robinson, however, has a bruised heel. He did not practice on Thursday. Not good news. Carlos Hyde would be the next man up in that offense. Julio Jones, hamstring injury. He practiced on Thursday. That is good news. You need him bad against the LA Rams. You need him bad. So it's good to hear that he returned to practice. We'll see for sure if he's going to be playing on Sunday Night Football. Jarvis Landry needs to step up with Odell Beckham now gone. He has a knee injury. He practiced on Thursday. That'd be huge if he can play this weekend. Latavius Murray, ankle injury, did not participate in practice. That is bad news. Even after coming out of a bye week, you did not practice Wednesday. You did not practice Thursday. He's going to be sidelined. Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell and Tyson Williams would work in a committee. Neither one really stands out. But Latavius Murray did not practice. Cole Beasley, ribs injury, did not participate in practice as well. Emmanuel Sanders should see a bump up in targets with Cole Beasley missing this game. 2 straight did not practice Wednesday, Thursday. David Montgomery returns to practice, so he was activated off of IR from Matt Nagy, and then it's confirmed that David Montgomery returned in a limited fashion on Thursday. We don't know for sure if he's going to be playing in Week 9. Hey, I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm not an NFL head coach, but if it were me, you have a Week 10 bye, I would honestly just shut down David Montgomery for Week 9. It's Monday Night Football. Or they didn't have practice on Wednesday. Okay, so he was just activated off of IR in Wednesdays, or before Thursday's practice. He was activated off of IR on Wednesday. Then Thursday, he returned in limited fashion. They have Friday practice. They have Saturday practice as well. So given that this is early in the week and he's in limited fashion at practice, that's actually good news. But honestly, my opinion, I say shut him down, dude. I wouldn't take any more risks with a knee or anything. I mean, you could have him limited and split carries with Khalil Herbert, but I mean, Matt Nagy has stated that once David Montgomery were to come back, he's going to get the bulk of the carries. He's going to be the starter. So that puts the questions to bed about Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery. It's going to be Montgomery. Jalen Reagor. Okay, so he suffered a nasty looking injury. He was carted off against the Detroit Lions. Hey, I mean, I guess that was looked worse than we thought, because he actually returned to practice on Thursday and he was limited. So he has a chance to play this weekend. Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting for the Houston Texans this weekend against the Miami Dolphins. Has not officially been activated off of IR just yet, but they expect him. According to David Culley, head coach of the Houston Texans, he is going to be making a start. And then the last little bit of news, Kyler Murray still not practicing. Ankle injury. Cliff Kingsbury has come out and said Kyler Murray does not have to practice in order for him to play this weekend against the 49ers. So it's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be up in the air. I mean, it's going to be a late afternoon game as well. So, I mean, it's more than likely looking like Kyler Murray's going to be a game-time decision. Let's work him out into warm-ups, see how he performs during warm-ups. 90 minutes before, we'll make the decision if Kyler Murray's going to be playing or not. And that is your NFL news and notes for today. Now we get into PredictionStrike, the stock market of fantasy football. Guys, I've been talking about this all season long. It's week 9 now. We give you 3 players that you need to buy, 3 players that you need to sell via the stock market of fantasy football. You just pretty much invest in it like it's a stock market, and if they exceed their fantasy football projection, you win some money. And the price goes up, their stock price goes up. If they don't meet their fantasy football projection, their stock takes a little bit of a dip. You lose some money, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. What are some smart investments that you can actually make some revenue off of? And what are some investments that maybe you have shares of this player, but you just need to get rid of them? So I'm going to give you 3 players to buy and 3 players to sell via the stock market. Let's first start off with the player. One player that you really need to buy in on. I've been talking about him. He was probably the tight end of the week in last week's shows that I just mentioned so many times. And this week coming around, I have him as a player that you want to buy in and invest in the stock market. And this is more of a long-term buy. This is Pat Freiermuth. Okay, look at his price, $2.69 a share. He went up from $2.10, I feel like. I believe it was his previous price. Up 18.91% because he's been exceeding his fantasy football projections. Had an amazing back of the end zone touchdown last week against the Cleveland Browns. Look at the analysis. Past 2 games are a sneak peek of what's to come for Pat Freiermuth. He's a long-term buy. Okay, so this matchup against the Chicago Bears, not the best. But I went ahead and bought in on Freiermuth. I bought about 10 shares of him, I want to say last week or the week prior to that, because I knew that he was going to develop into a great starting tight end, and now he's pretty much locked in as a tight end 1 after Eric Ebron's injury. So he's developed into a valuable streaming tight end in fantasy football in general. So Pat Freiermuth, guy that you may want to look into as a player that you want to invest in the long term. Maybe year 2, year 3, has a breakout season. Could happen. Player number 2 that you want to buy in on, it's got to be Taysom Hill, quarterback of the Saints. $5.42 a share is a little bit pricey, but that's okay. He's up 1.06%, not because he exceeded any fantasy football projections, but because people are buying it. And that's how stock prices can increase or decrease. If a lot of people are buying shares of him, then their stock price is going to increase. And right now he's on an increase because people are buying in on him. He's projected 15.5 fantasy points this week. Could very well exceed that against the Atlanta Falcons this week. So you could expect his stock price to go up. His rushing floor makes him a viable fantasy stud. He proved it last year as a starter in place of Drew Brees in those few games. So Taysom Hill is a guy that I would invest in via PredictionStrike. The last player that you want to invest in via PredictionStrike, it's because of the injuries that's been happening with the Dallas Cowboys. It is Cedric Wilson. $3.20 a share. He's up 63.52% because, listen, his game against the Minnesota Vikings was amazing. So he's up by a significant margin. I would buy in on that. I mean, I think he's going to continue to increase because he's projected 8 points this week, PPR points, by the way. So I think he could exceed that if CeeDee Lamb, if you look at the analysis, CeeDee Lamb potentially could miss this week's game. Michael Gallup still a week away from returning, and Amari Cooper is dealing with a hamstring injury. I didn't even mention that Blake Jarwin is not expected to play in this game as well. So that's just even more targets for Cedric Wilson. Potentially. I don't think this is going to happen because Amari Cooper more than likely will play. But potentially there's a chance that Cedric Wilson could be the wide receiver 1 this week against the Denver Broncos. So I'd buy in on that. Buy a few shares, just see what happens. See what happens with Cedric Wilson. Players that you need to sell. I said this guy was a buy a couple weeks ago just because of the Deshaun Watson rumors that are going around. But now you can safely sell the stock in Will Fuller. Okay, so if you bought him, 4.88 or $4.88 a share, he's down just 0.05%. So you didn't lose much if you bought in shares on him. I mean, you just have to pay the little bit of a fee via PredictionStrike. I think it's only like 2%. But that's it. That's it. He was a buy when Deshaun Watson rumors speculated. Now is a sell. Not expected to have much value in 2021. Still on injured reserve. And I have no idea when he's going to be activated. But, I mean, his value in that Dolphins offense, nah, I don't trust it. Player number 2 that you need to sell, Ryan Tannehill. $11.03 a share is up 4.89%. The loss of Derrick Henry will impact Tannehill's performance. He's a must-sell prior to this week specifically because we don't know if Julio Jones is playing for sure as a hurt hamstring. On top of that, A.J. Brown could be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey. Von Miller's on that defense. Aaron Donald's on that defense. You have no Derrick Henry to take away from the passing game. Guys, this is bad news for Ryan Tannehill, not just for this week, but for the remainder of the season. His fantasy outlook is not looking great. So I would sell on Tannehill, and I would do it now. Like, if you have shares of him, sell him now before his price just plummets after this game against the LA Rams. That is player to sell number 2. And the last player that you want to sell had a great Thursday night football game, but you got to sell on Nyheim Hines while his value is just extremely high. $4.89 a share. That is up 31.97%. More than likely will not replicate that performance ever again for the remainder of the season. Had a great showing. Had got into the end zone, had a fair share of targets and fair share of carries as well. He's averaging just 7 touches per game before this past week. 7 touches a game. This past week, he had 10 touches a game, which is still not that much. So I would sell Nyheim Hines because it's Jonathan Taylor who's the workhorse back. Prior to this game, maybe this game was convincing to the Colts, like maybe we need to give him a little bit more touches, but he was not getting that many carries, not getting that many receptions, and he was just placed on a lot of special team packages. So Nyheim Hines is a player that I would sell while his value is just extremely high if you have shares of him. So those are 3 players that you want to buy and 3 players that you want to sell via PredictionStrike, the stock market for fantasy football. Click that link in the description. Use the promo code T2F. If you make a deposit of up to $20, you get a free share of a player as well as I do. So sign up, start playing, start investing, and watch your portfolio grow. The next sponsor that we have that we partnered up with for this season is PrizePicks. Guys, this is one of my favorite partners because you pretty much just pick the overs and unders of fantasy football projections. That's it. And if you're right, you win some cash. And if you're wrong, then you lose some cash. But I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to help you which players you need to pick the unders on and which players you need to pick the overs on. So I'm going to name 3 players each that you want to take the unders on and 3 players that you want to take the overs on. So first, let me start off by saying I I have a player that you want to take the. Initially, I had him as the under, and I had him as the bust of the week for fantasy football. But because of all the injuries that's been happening with the Dallas Cowboys, uh, I mean, it's pretty tough. I mean, I'm going to say that Dalton Schultz is a player that you would really, really want to go ahead and take the. Man, I don't know. Because, okay, so here's the thing. Let me go ahead and just show this graphic real quick. So Dalton Schultz is a player that you could take the under on, but you could also take the over on. And if you look at our projection, it's TBD. We don't know for sure whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper or Blake Jarwin, we know for sure is going to miss this game, but we don't know the injury status of a lot of these playmakers on the Dallas Cowboys offense. So let's say, for instance, that Amari Cooper comes back and CeeDee Lamb comes back and everybody's there, everybody's healthy, then I would take the under on Dalton Schultz. But if Amari Cooper doesn't play or CeeDee Lamb doesn't play, or even just CeeDee Lamb, if just one of them misses this game, then I would take the over on Dalton Schultz. And look at the confidence level. 70% if I'm taking the under, 60% if I'm taking the over on 12 fantasy points this week, PPR points, by the way. So Dalton Schultz is just kind of those iffy, I don't know, wait and see kind of players. Keep in mind the injury status of a lot of these Dallas Cowboys. So that's why I just wanted to open up like, hey, Dalton Schultz could be a player that you could buy, but also could be a player that you want to take the under on. So, yeah, keep in mind the injury status for a lot of these Dallas Cowboys. Now, the second player I'm going to mention is, let's get into the unders right now. Jordan Love, I would take the under on this. 16 fantasy points is his projection via PrizePicks. I'm taking the under on that because I know a lot of people, I've seen the comments on these YouTube videos that you guys are leaving. Hey, I picked up Jordan Love because I heard about the news of Aaron Rodgers. I picked up Jordan Love just because he could be great. But I'm going to base it off of what I've been hearing in training camp because that's the last that we've heard of Jordan Love taking first-team reps. And that's that at times he looks really good and at times he looks really bad. So he's a little bit inconsistent with that. Plus the Chiefs' defense, they've been bad. Yes, they've been really bad. But I think against Jordan Love, he's not going to meet that priority of 16 fantasy points or that projection of it just because he's not – in college, he wasn't labeled as a rusher. He's not a scrambling quarterback. He's a pocket passer. You have Devontae Adams to help your value, but, 16 fantasy points just off of passing for a rookie quarterback or a first-year quarterback, I would say, or second-year quarterback that's making his first NFL start. Nah. I'm not buying in on Jordan Love for 16 fantasy points this week, so I would take the under on that. The next player that I would take the under on is Devontae Smith. 11.5 fantasy points is his projection. But I'm taking the under on that just because he hasn't scored 11.5 PPR points in his last 3 games. The Chargers are the second best team in fantasy football against wide receivers. I think everybody's underrating that because they look at the Chargers defense and it's like, oh, man, they have a terrible run game, but they might be bad in the pass as well. No, that's not true. They're actually kind of decent in the pass game, defending the pass at least. I'm 70% confident in this because Devontae Smith is Devontae Smith. He's a first-round pick. He could pop up at any point. But based off the stats, based off of the matchup, I'm going to go ahead and take the under on Devontae Smith, and I'm 70% confident in that. Now let's talk about some players that you want to go ahead and take the overs on. And I think Raiders fans are going to love this little bit of stretch right here. Kenyon Drake is a player that I would take the over on because this is, by the way, PPR. This is based off of PPR. 7 PPR points is his projection. Kenyon Drake has been exceeding a lot of that in the last few games. He's been good under Rich Bisaccia. I think they're starting to realize Kenyon Drake is worthy of getting more playing time. Now, even when Josh Jacobs was healthy, or when he missed some time because of that chest contusion in Week 7, Kenyon Drake was still on pace to get over 7 PPR fantasy points in that game. So I am 85% confident that he exceeds 7 fantasy points this week, and I would buy in on Kenyon Drake this week. The second player that I would go ahead and take the overs on is Josh Jacobs, his teammate in the running back room. You can also take projections, overs and unders on stat lines. 17.5 receiving yards is his projection. And he's going to exceed that in my eyes because 17 or more yards in the last 4 games. Josh Jacobs got that. And this was based off of 2, 3, 4 receptions. So he did not get that much. But they like to set up a lot of screen passes to Josh Jacobs. He gets a lot of yards after the catch. 17 or more yards in the last 4 games. So him reaching 18 receiving yards, I think it's going to happen. I'm 80% confident that it is going to happen. And by the way, he exceeded 17 yards in that game where he left in the second half because of a chest contusion. So, I mean, if that gives you a little bit of hope right there, you got to take the overs on Josh Jacobs. And the last player, guess what? It's another Raider that you want to take the over on, and it is Hunter Renfrow, who's been looking pretty decent. Now, this is in wake of the Henry Ruggs news. Obviously, Hunter Renfrow, Bryan Edwards are going to take a step up. 5.5 receptions is the projection that PrizePicks has given him. I'm taking the over, and I'm 70% confident in that. I mean, I would honestly say that I'm more confident, 75, 80% maybe even, because he's had 5 receptions in every game this year except one, where he had 3 receptions. And the targets are there. He's had 6 targets in every game except one. And that one game was 3 receptions off of 5 targets. So him exceeding 5.5 receptions, him getting 6 receptions or more, highly likely with Henry Ruggs now gone. So I would take the over on Henry Ruggs. Now, to show you guys that I actually do this live and I'm not just BSing anyone, and I'm going to make the picks live on air so you guys can see. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my computer right here, put myself in the corner. This is live, by the way. So we had Hunter Renfrow taking the over on him. Now, we can pick 5 players in one prop, and we can 10 times our money in that. So out of the 6 players that I talked about, Dalton Schultz, I was kind of iffy on because, I mean, I don't know his injury status with like all the other Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to pick the other 5 players. So Hunter Renfrow is another player that I would take, the first player that I would take. And then let's go to receiving yards right here because I talked about Josh Jacobs. Let's scroll a little bit down to Josh Jacobs, 17.5 receiving yards, and then it pops up right here. So I'm going to pick the over on Hunter Renfrow, over on Josh Jacobs. I'm going to scooch on over here. That's a very Midwestern thing to say, to fantasy points, and I'm going to go to Kenyon Drake. So let's go ahead and get all the Raiders, right? 7 fantasy points. Boom. Over. Okay? I also talked about Jordan Love and Devontae Smith. So Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Scroll a little bit down. Where are the Packers? Where are the Chiefs at? There's Devontae Smith. So let's go ahead and pick the under on that against the Chargers. And then Jordan Love right here. Let's go ahead and pick the under on that. So Jordan Love under, Devontae Smith under, Kenny Drake over, Josh Jacobs over, Hunter Renfrow over. Okay, so I always put in $10 for a chance to win $100, but why not? I'm feeling generous. What? Let's just take the risk. Why not? I'm kind of confident in these projections, so let me go ahead and put in $20 for a chance to win 200. Okay, place that entry. And guess what? If I just get 4 out of 5 correct and don't get all 5 correct, I still win $40. I double my money. So it's a chance that you should take, taking that 5-player prop on PrizePicks. So click that link in the description. Use the promo code T2F, sign up, start playing. And hey, by the time we join you next week, could be $200 richer. So we'll see. All right, now it is time for fantasy football questions, answering those in the comments or any questions that you guys have in general. You guys have been leaving these in the comments. I'm getting blowing up my phone. Let's see if there's any news as well regarding Odell Beckham. Oh, just heard about this. Saints quarterback Trevor Siemian will start Sunday's game versus the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, so Taysom Hill will serve as the number 2 quarterback, but will have a role in the team's game plan. We expect that to happen. Okay. All right, Siemian will start. And the Titans signed officially Adrian Peterson to the active roster from the practice squad. So that was kind of expected. Wearing Marcus Mariota's old number, by the way, number 8. So, yeah, Adrian Peterson signed. Trevor Siemian is going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints this weekend. All right, now let's go and look at the chat and see what you guys have been leaving in the comment section. All right, Zobu, I said I'd get back to you. Pick 3. I hate it when people say pick 3, start 2. That's not a question. It's not a question. I'm I'm just messing with you, by the way. I'll also answer the question. Full PPR, Robbie Anderson, Jerry Jeudy, Jarvis Landry, Cole Beasley, T. Higgins. Well, I mean, Cole Beasley's going to miss this game, so that already heightens your chances of picking. Jerry Jeudy, Jarvis Landry, T. Higgins would be my choices. Time to football, baby. Yes, sir. Big dog pound. Is James Robinson playing this week? No, I don't think he is. Whom should I start this week at PPR as my RB2 and Flex 1, Flex 2? Zach Moss, Darrell Williams, Emmanuel Sanders, James Robinson, Myles Gaskin, Hollywood Brown as my RB2 and Flex 1 and 2. Okay, RB2, it's got to be Darrell Williams. As your Flex 1 and 2, it would be Myles Gaskin for me as Flex 1. Flex 2 would be... man, you got some good choices right there. This is PPR. Oh my gosh. Not Zach Moss then. It's between Emmanuel Sanders and Marquise Brown. I'm going to go Marquise Brown just because he's been a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football. So I'd go with him. Who do you think will be the starting quarterback for the Saints this week? Trevor Siemian? Who would you play out of Hill, Hurts, or Danny Dimes? Between them, I would go with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts would be my option. Do I accept this trade? I got to offer Nick Chubb and Scary Terry for Jamar Chase and Damian Harris. So you got Nick Chubb and Terry McLaurin for Jamar Chase and Damian Harris? No. I'd keep Jamar Chase and Damian Harris. The point disparity between Nick Chubb and Damian Harris this year, surprisingly, is not that big. Nick Chubb much talented than Damian Harris, but Jamar Chase, another level, every week starter, while Terry McLaurin is just up and down in the Washington offense. You've got consistency at wide receiver. I'd keep it. And Damian Harris, not that bad. You said I already have Kareem Hunt, but he is on IR, so I had to keep what to do. Oh, yeah, you're good. You're solid. Don't worry about it. Keep Jamar Chase, Damian Harris, and then Kareem Hunt's going to come back. You're fine. Odell to the Lions would be hilarious. Yeah, it would be. OBJ to the Raiders. Let's go silver and black. Any word on CMC? So what I picked up on was that his fantasy football projection, it went from like 20 points down to like 16 in the course of a day. So I'm like, is he playing? Is he not playing? I know Field Yates of ESPN has him as a RB5 because even if he does play, he might be limited. I don't know. We have to we have to monitor and keep track of his status. We still don't know yet. But I will tell you that a hamstring injury, 1 out of 10 running backs have a chance of re-injuring that if they're brought back too soon. And I don't think they want to just run CMC to the ground just yet. And I think they'd be fine splitting snaps between Chuba Hubbard and Chris McCaffrey. Rubio saying Cooper is always questionable. Yeah, but I think this week, it was a little bit more serious than previous weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So keep in mind. Good morning, brother. This is from Caliente Kid. Love your channel. Pick 2 for my flex. Chase Claypool, Emmanuel Sanders, Elijah Mitchell, Devontae Booker. Thanks in advance. You rock. Okay. Chase Claypool, Emmanuel Sanders, Elijah Mitchell, Devontae Booker. Pick 2 for my flex. Devontae Booker and Elijah Mitchell would be my options. What else we've got? Oh, Rubio breaking the news right here. The Saints are starting Trevor. Jack saying thumbs up for the man. Hey, appreciate it. And you got a variety of colors of thumbs, showing that this world in America is very diverse and inclusive. Yeah, I love it. Hey, Hassan, do you recommend to pick OBJ now that he is released? Yeah, you could stash him. I would stash him. It's a big possibility. Michael Bassat, you just DM me. You said, why isn't there not a comment section available when I click on the live show? There should be. Dude. Hey, there should be. Javonte Barker suffered a setback and is doubtful to play on Sunday versus the Texans. That is injury news that we just learned about. So if you guys that have Devontae Parker, that is not so good news. Drop Dearness Johnson or stash. Stash until Kareem Hunt comes back. This is from XXX I would do that. And low. Start AP or Mike Davis, half PPR. I lost King Henry. RIP. RIP. Adrian Peterson, Mike. I'm not big on either of them, but if I had to start between them, it'd be Mike Davis. Mike Davis would be my choice. Let me give some love to people I have not answered yet. Lee Shakur, like Tupac Shakur. That's awesome. Should I trade Odell for Marvin Jones and Russ Wilson? You get both of them for do it. Please do it. If you can't do that, do it. Opinion on streaming Tyrod this week. I don't think he's going to be a bad play. He had a good game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Defense that I would say is like on the same level as the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins might be a little bit better, but I don't think it's a bad play. No. Wouldn't be like my first streaming option, but it would be someone that I would look into. Mike Davis, AJ Dillon, or Adrian Peterson. Okay, so you added AJ Dillon now to the mix. It would still be Mike Davis. That's how I would do. Out of Waddle, Judy, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, which should I trade away? Need to get an elite option, maybe two of them. Devontae Smith, probably. That's who I would trade away. Keep up the great work. Just stop by to drop a like and show my support. Jeff, dude. Thank you. Okay, so I try to give some love to some people that I have not answered yet. So I'll go ahead and give some love to some people that are asking multiple questions. Let's go with what else do we got? Mike Davis or Tony Pollard this week. Oop, sorry about that. Oh gosh, I hate Mike Davis. I was a Falcons fan. I hated the when we signed him, I was like, I like him, but as a starting back, gosh dang. Okay, Mike Davis, man. Got to go with Mike Davis. I hate it, but got to go with Mike Davis. Bateman or Devontae Smith this week? This is from Lawrence Mueller. Bateman, Rashad Bateman, 6 targets in back-to-back games. And I would go with Rashad Bateman because Devontae Smith against that Chargers defense. Asante Samuel is low-key one of the better offensive rookies or defensive rookies this year. I think we're sleeping on him. So I would go with Bateman personally. Okay. It's kind of bare out there. So let me go ahead and end the show. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But hey, keep in mind that we do have a live show, a live stream, Fantasy Football Q&A, coming up this Sunday. Every Sunday morning, I do that live show. And make sure you don't get the COVID. Like Saquon Barkley. Hey, you're sore from the gym. You have COVID, bro. You have COVID. You should get tested. You should get tested and add on to those COVID numbers. That's what they would love. Add on to those COVID numbers. Don't get COVID like Aaron Rodgers, but if you do, hey, make sure you guys quarantine. Tune in Sunday, live stream Sunday morning. With all that said, thank you guys for joining us. See you later.